In this video, we're going to go over how to create frequency polygon in StatCrunch. There's not a single button that you can press to make a frequency polygon. Like frequency histogram was easy, wasn't it? We just click on histogram and it made it for us, but we're gonna have to do some typing ourselves to create a frequency polygon. Remember when you read section 2.1, frequency polygon uses midpoints. It uses class midpoints for the x-coordinate, and the y-coordinate will just be frequency. So what I will do is I will create, I don't think my data saved when I shut down the StatCrunch, so I will have to click on that data set one more time. Sorry, give me 1 second. Was it this one? Medicine expenses? This must be it. So what you will need to do to create a frequency polygon is first have your table ready. So go to stat table and go to frequency. Go to stat tables frequencies. Select the column and just create a frequency table. Instead of relative frequency, cumulative, all that, we only need frequency, okay? And click on compute, and they're going to bin it. They're going to create classes for us. But now this is a good opportunity for me to talk about why it looks like the classes are overlapping. Like for example, if you're looking at this, if someone is paying exactly $200, will that person go into this first group or the second group? Right? Our textbook didn't do this. If you take a look at our textbook examples, I do want to see, here you go. Take a look at this right here. Their class goes from 155, that's the lower limit. Oh, no, I don't want to highlight anything. It goes to 190, right? But look at the next line down. It doesn't list the 190 again. It goes to 191 to 226. The next number is 227. See, it's the upper limit and the lower limits are not the same number. I wish our StatCrunch did it, but it's not doing it, okay? So how do you know where does 200 fit in? And it shows it on histogram. Let me show you real quick. If I create a histogram, I'm just gonna do a quick compute and show you. If I create a histogram and I put my mouse on the first box, have you guys learned, I know some of you learned interval notations in pre-calculus or calculus class, or pre-calculus definitely. You see in front of 150 there's a square bracket, right? That means we are including 150. But after 200 we see the round parenthesis. That means 200 is not included in this first group. But if you go to the next bar, put your mouse over, is you see you have a square bracket in front of 200. So it includes the lower bound, but it does not include the upper bound. And I wish they used different integers, but this is just how they did it. And this one, it includes, the third box right here includes 250, but it does not include 300. So if I'm wondering about, how about 400? Will 400 fit into, 350. Will 350 fit into the tall bar or the short bar? If you take a look, 350 is not included in that tall bar, because after 350 you have a parenthesis. But if you look at this one, tiny one, the 350 has a square bracket in front of it. This is interval notation, so whenever there's a square bracket, that means you are including it. So what I will do is, guys, I will go ahead and rewrite this real quick. How about I copy this? There's a way for me to just select it, and then I'll just copy it randomly over here. Does a frequency polygon have to start from 0? Let me check something real quick. I know for ogive we need to start from 0, but I'm trying to make sure that we do this right the first time. When we make a frequency polygon, oh yes, okay, when we make a frequency polygon, let me show you a quick picture of what we want to create. I want you to look at this right here. Ta-da! This is what we want to create without the bars. So histogram will be out of the picture, but we basically need the midpoints of each classes. This is the middle of the lower limit and the upper limit. So we need the midpoints. But take a look at all the way on the left. You see they plotted a point on in the bottom, right? And they plotted another extra one all the way in the bottom. And these are interval that doesn't exist really because they were frequency of 0. But to make a frequency polygon, we need to extend our far left midpoint all the way down to the 0. So we're gonna need one on the left and one on the right. So take a look at what I do over here. I copy this table, guys. I copy this table, and instead of starting from the very top, I'm just gonna go ahead and click on the second row and I will paste it up here. Because what I will do is I will also create one above this 150 and 200. So that will be what? 100 to 150. And I'll create another one that is 450 to 500. And I will go ahead and list their frequency to be 0. Okay? We need to do this to create a frequency polygon that touches down to the left and down to the right. And we need these endpoints to be at the 0. Okay? Now, let's talk about the midpoints. Okay? And before I find the midpoint, I'm going to make some edits real quick, okay? Instead of 100 to 150, I'm going to go ahead and change this to 100 to 149, okay? Because it includes the lower limit, but it's not going to include the upper limit, okay? So we're just going to go down one on the upper limits. 152, 199, 202, 245, 249. 300 goes down one to 299. Just go down one integer on the upper limit. Next one will go to 349. This is what you're going to have to do. This is going to 399, and this one will go to 449, and finally this will go only up to 499. Okay, now I'm going to find the midpoints. Okay, I'm going to find the midpoints. I wonder if I can move this to the side a little bit. I can just copy it here. Okay, now for the midpoints, I will grab a calculator. I got a calculator out, and you know how to find the midpoints. You add 100, or the lower limit, plus the upper limit, plus 149, and then divide by 2, which is 124.5. 124.5. Next number, 150 plus 199, and let me divide that by 2. 2, that doesn't look right. I don't know, I'm gonna try again. 150 plus 199, hit enter and divide that by 2. That's more like it. 174.5. 174.5. And did you realize that we're going up by 50? These are expenses in dollars. Okay, these are the midpoint dollars. Instead of calling it midpoint, I'm just gonna label as the prescription medicine expenses. 200 plus 249, and I divide this by 2 to find the midpoints. 224.5. 224.5. I noticed the pattern. The midpoints are just going up by 50. So the next number will be 274.5. Next number will be 324.5. 374.5. What's next? 424.5. And last one is going to be 474.5. My midpoints were just going up by 50, so I just follow the pattern. But if I just want to double check, I may check the very last one. 450 plus 499, and I divide that by 2. 474.5. So that's good. Now, these are the frequency, right? And these are the expenses in dollars. I'm ready to create my frequency polygon. So watch this for me, okay? I will go to graph. Let me minimize this real quick. Graph, charts, and columns. Okay, graph, chart, and columns. And over here, I'm going to go ahead and ask them to plot the frequency, because the frequencies are going to be the y coordinates, okay? And if you come down here a little bit, row labels in, we want them to use the expenses in dollars in my example. So I click that. And if you come down here, that we want them to plot not the horizontal bars, but I want them to plot points with connected lines. I click that. And then I can go ahead and title this as Prescription Medicine Expenses Frequency Polygon. And if I hit compute, ta-da, I have a beautiful frequency polygon. So I will now go ahead and take a screenshot of this. And I will attach it on my Word doc. You know, the hardest part about this problem is figuring out the midpoints. You do know how to find midpoint. You just have to add a lower and upper bound and divide by 2. But what frustrated me a little bit, that's why it took me some time to create this video, is that when I create a frequency table using StatCrunch, you guys saw it, right? I hate what they did. See? They made those classes look like they are overlapping. This, instead of 200, they should have really put 199 so that it doesn't overlap with 200. It wasn't easy for me to figure out what was going on until I looked at that histogram with that square bracket and parenthesis. But the one thing that you needed to do was remembering that they should not, the 200 should not fit into both the top and the second interval or classes. So I needed to adjust that a little bit. Like I went from 150 to 199 instead of 150 to 200 before I find the midpoint. So hopefully I will just check. I'll check one of your midpoint, and if the midpoint is incorrect, I'll point it out to you and ask you to retry it. I'll take a couple points off if the midpoints are incorrect. But on your frequency polygon, you must have the midpoints listed. I'm going to look for one additional to the left and another one to the right, where the frequencies are 0, so that your polygon comes down to the bottom instead of just floating. But that's enough. That's it for frequency polygon. Tomorrow we can talk, or in class we can talk more about this, but I'm gonna stop this video so that I can record the next one, the ogive.